welcome to the show. I'm doing something a little different this week. It's an election special. My guest tonight, Brian Thiessen. For people who don't know you, who are you and why did you decide to run for mayor?
Sure. My name's Brian Thiessen, and I'm running for mayor because I'm a big believer in public service. So I have kind of personal reasons and political reasons for running. On the personal side, 30 years ago when I applied for University of Calgary Law School, you actually have to write an essay about why you want a law degree. And for me, mine was all about public service. I was really interested in how you could learn the law to legislate, whether it's bylaws or provincial or federal legislation. So using your legal knowledge to improve society. And so I got involved really early. As a first-year student, I became student president at the law school at University of Calgary. I bartended at the Den to pay my way through. But I made some really good friends, my friend Chima and my friend Kevin Weiler, who was a hockey player who got hit from behind when he was 16 and was a quadriplegic. And Kevin and I became best friends, and we got into this public service together. And we worked, for 30 years on campaigns while I pursued my legal career. And it was always, one day I'll run for office and I'll give back in public service. And like most people, I came out of law school with a ton of student debt, got jobs, had a successful career, and kind of scratched the itch of public service by doing things like serving with Habitat for Humanity and on the board of Ronald McDonald House. I was chair of the Calgary Police Commission for 4 years from 2016 to 2020. And then, my firm asked me to be managing partner of the Calgary office. And so I took that challenge on for the last 4 years, built Osler's Calgary office from 60 to 100 lawyers, and a lot of success with that. And last year, Kevin passed away. And I realized the tomorrow that you put off never came, right? And at the time, I'm 52 years old. I lost my best friend from law school who I'd always intended to do this one day with. And, as the Romans say, enjoy the hour. It's later than you think. And so I said to my family, my firm asked me to renew for a third term as managing partner. And I turned them down. My family supported me in pursuing public service. And I said I wanted to give back for the next 10 years of my career. My most productive, at the peak of my career, I want to engage in public service. And so that's the personal reasons. And it's a bit of honoring my best friend from law school, Kevin. On the political side, my day job that I talk about, that career of 30 years practicing as an employment lawyer. So my job was to institute organizational change. So I advised Fortune 500 companies, municipalities around Alberta on their most difficult bet the farm issues. So, when a major Fortune 500 company or a not-for-profit or a municipality in Alberta has their most difficult issues, like issues in the C-suite, for example, fraud, theft, sexual harassment, I would investigate. And then I would look at their policies, talk to them about their values, and look at how we could recover the organization, working with the board of directors to help them achieve the culture, the change that they needed to achieve when they were in their most difficult moments. So my clients say to me, as I pursue this, we're sad to see you go, but you are exactly what Calgary City Hall needs. We have the most dysfunctional council. They are fighting. We got 15 individuals going in different directions. So I looked at the province instituted political parties, and we looked at glasses half full. What good things could you do with political party? I was actually one of the 70% of Albertans that were against municipal political parties. But as a lawyer, you take the situation and the rules as they are, not as you wish them to be. And so when we looked at it, we said, we could build a high-functioning team, a team that complements one another. When you're managing partner of a law firm, none of your partners think of you as their boss. You have to convince them. You have to learn how to collaborate, learn people's values. And so I used those skills, and I built a team. We've got 13 of our 14 ward councillor candidates. We formed the Calgary Party. And in 10 months, we've built up a complete political party. And the beauty of that is we've been working together for 10 months. Most city councils, I'm told by sitting councillors, take about 2 years to learn how to work together. This one never did. It's the most dysfunctional council. They're fighting all the time. City admin says they can't get direction from council. So the theory behind forming the Calgary Party and focusing on public safety, housing, transit, and critical infrastructure is that we've learned how to work together as a team. I've learned how to collaborate with them. We complement each other's skills. I'm a 30-year employment lawyer. I've got, an Tasia in Ward 6 who's, got a master's in urban planning from Oxford. We've got people who are running their own businesses. We have people who've been deeply embedded in their community. So we complement one another's skills, and we've learned how to be a team. So I think that is a real advantage when, to your original question, to solve dysfunction at City Hall, people talk about teamwork or leadership, but, our current leadership at City Hall hasn't been leading. Nobody's following. And I think a lot of the issue with the candidates that I'm running against is they believe that you get elected to mayor and then you're in charge. And the truth is, in every organization that I've advised or led as chair of the police commission or as managing partner, leadership's earned. If you play on a hockey team, there's quiet leaders on the bench that, just provide a quiet word once in a while. You can lead from behind without the captaincy or the assistant captaincy. It's the same in organizations. You lead by championing others, by learning what their values are, by looking out for your teammates. That's what I see leadership as. And so I've earned that trust with my team already. We're ready to go on day one.
On a lighter note, what do you love about Calgary?
I love two things. Two things come to mind when you ask me that. One is I love the kind of meritocracy, entrepreneurial spirit of Calgary. I always wanted to live in Calgary. I spent my summers in Water Valley, and I got first attracted to Calgary, if I'm honest, by Stampede. I loved coming in with my fellow counselors for weekends during Stampede. It was the highlight of our summer. But when I got here 30 years ago, I was just shocked at how it was so welcoming, and there were so many people in leadership roles that you could just call up or drop a note to and say, I'm interested in pursuing, Habitat for Humanity or whatever. I had an amazing amount of people who helped me up and, helped me achieve what I was looking to do in my career. And I've tried to pay that forward throughout my career. And so there's this spirit of you can do anything, and people want to help one another. And so many people have come from across the country and around the world that it's really welcoming of new people. And I think people don't realize, when you're in cities like Toronto or whatever, there's multiple generations. There's kind of an establishment. And Calgary's really resisted that. We have more of an entrepreneurial spirit. Physically, the Bow River is my highlight. I'm a fly fisher, really bad, but I love doing it. It's going to be one of those lifelong things that I'll get moderately good by the end of my life. My son works, one of those paddle companies that people rent rafts on the Bow River. He's 18, and it's just kind of our playground. I think it's an amazing place, and the natural environment in Calgary, from the river system to the bikes paths to parks in Calgary. I just think people also take that for granted. We just have this amazing gift of a playground that we all live in. That's my physical favorite attribute.
Love it.
Yeah.
So every candidate cares a lot about the big issues. There's a lot of overlap there, but everyone looks through a different lens.
Yeah.
So what lens, you kind of touched on this, but what is your lens and how does it differ from the other candidates?
Yeah, I think the big difference for me is, age and stage, career. So I look at it from the lens of a 30-year professional who's worked and had success in downtown Calgary. So I'm the only non-career politician running for mayor. The rest of my opponents have all, spent most of their working lives, at the Manning Institute, and then, as city councilors, they've all been on that, or city admin, and then city council. So I look at it from the lens of a professional who's actually led organizations successfully, and I think that's important. People undervalue that, and when I look at the problems at City Hall, whether it's public safety, So my experience in public safety is chairing the Calgary Police Commission. I spent 4 years working on that organization, developing a culture of, public policing as opposed to, the U.S. model, which is more of a, for lack of a better word, we're a police force in conflict with our population. As chair of the police commission, it was more about community policing. These are our friends and neighbors, and how do we have a culture? And so culture of taking care of our neighbors. So I've actually instituted cultural change in roles like the chair of the police commission. And frankly, it's kind of interesting because 3 of the people I'm running against were on city council and named me Citizen of the Year in 2019 for my work as chair of the commission. So I think they agreed I was very good at it. When I did that role, though, it was a really nice way to use my skills working with organizations and instituting cultural change in a public service role. So taking those private skills, and a lot of people don't make that transition, and learning how to use it in a public role. It's one of the biggest line items on the Calgary budget for city council. So I learned about how to institute budget, to meet with each of the councillors, to build up consensus amongst city council to approve Calgary Police Commission budgets. So, in a nutshell, my lens is a little different. I have a long and successful career working with top organizations from around the world and across the country, whether they're not-for-profits, municipalities, or companies. And I've applied those skills practically to public institutions like the Calgary Police Service. And when you look at things like public safety as a priority, I have real relationships with the leadership at the Calgary Police Service. So when I talk about our policies on public safety for the Calgary Party are things like we want to prioritize a housing first strategy, 24/7 mental health and addiction teams integrated with the Calgary Police Service and City Transit Police, and working 24/7. I actually sat down with the entire leadership of the Calgary Police Service and asked them what they thought of that after I met with 30 mental health and addiction organizations from Alpha House to the Alex. And the Calgary Police Service said, Brian, not only do we like the idea, the priorities that you're focusing on, but we spent 4 years working on that and it got killed at this city council. So we'd like you to institute that. So that's important, right? Not just taking the policy, but knowing how to practically implement that policy. That's a real skill set that I don't think everyone appreciates you need to build successful organizations.
My next question is, what would you focus on day one? Not the question is, what would you do day one? But nothing really starts day one. So what would you begin to focus on day one?
Yeah. So the first thing I'd like to say is having actually built a team and hoping to elect a majority of city councillors from the Calgary Party and myself as mayor, we could actually take steps on day one to implement. And, people who are running as an independent mayoral candidate can't actually do that. I could actually get my team to sit down with city admin on day one and implement our policies. So it's actually a different response for people who've built teams and people who haven't. For me, on day one, public safety is a priority. And so I just mentioned sitting down with the Calgary Police Service that they'd come up with a way to implement 24/7 health and addiction supports. It's called Reach Up. They actually presented it to the Calgary Police Commission, and City Council hasn't done anything with it since it was referred back to Council to budget for it. So on day one, I would implement the Calgary Police Service's Reach Up program. And what that means is an actual 150-bed location, Calgary Police Service, Transit Police, housed with mental health and addiction specialists and funded to function 24/7. So there's actually a place for people to go when they are on the streets and need to be treated. So, the police service said to me, Brian, we have a Cadillac. It's in the garage. We can roll it out on day one. So that's what I would do on day one.
Great. Finish this sentence. My vision for Calgary is?
My vision for Calgary is to be the best city in the world to work, live, and play. I think Calgary has amazing opportunities. I think we have highly educated young people. We have great businesses, whether it's tech, clean tech, ag, ag business to oil and gas, energy. And so all we have to do is channel that energy and create the environment for people to succeed. So when I say be the best city in the world to work, live, and play, I'd like to restore us to top world rankings on cities around the world. We've slipped a bit under this council, but that really what that means is city admin moving at the speed of business. It takes us too long to approve projects when we're trying to build housing. I tell people, a lot of people aren't aware that when the City of Calgary pitched Amazon to move to Calgary, we pitched them on low taxes, vacancies in office space, and proximity to the mountains. And Amazon actually offered to debrief the city on why they didn't get it when we pitched for that work. And the city didn't take them up on it, but a couple of very prominent Calgarians did. And they sat down with them and said, we'd like to know so we can build the type of Calgary that Amazons want to move to. And I think the answers kind of surprised people. They said, you pitched us on those things. What we were looking for was the perfect environment for young employees to want to live in. So we were looking for world-class transit. We were looking for entertainment, arts and culture. Yes, we want places for people to live that are affordable. So housing across the spectrum. So if you look at the Calgary Party policies, that's what we're focused on. We're trying to build the kind of place that the Amazons of the world want to come make their headquarters so we can build the best city in the world.
Do you have anything else you want to touch on before you go?
No, I'll just say for me, this is really, when I talk about it being a public service to serve as mayor, I think it's a real privilege to get to serve publicly. And I recognize that it's a choice that Calgarians make. And so for me, I do have the skills and the experience, but I think it's important that I actually see it as a real privilege if Calgarians would give me the chance to serve as a public servant for 8 years. My father was a lifelong civil servant, ADM of environment for the Alberta government. I see it as a real privilege to be given the opportunity to lead a world-class city like Calgary. And so I just want to say that I come at it with a certain humility, and I'd appreciate the chance from Calgarians to get out there and work really hard for them for 8 years.
Thanks. Where do we find information on the election?
So if you check out electionscalgary.ca, keep checking it out as time goes on. They're going to give you information on how to register to vote. They'll give you information on when the advanced polls are. Election day is on October 20th, but you can get all the information you want impartially from electionscalgary.ca.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Get out and vote.
Get out and vote.